capitalize on before, but we really want to thank Sam, the engineer, not me, the other Sam, the one that's been here longer and keeps us on the air. Great guy. And of course, all of our colleagues here at the station. We're at various points, throughout the valley. I was down in Trenton, Georgia, and we had Russ over in Fort O, and Mike was wherever he was at, probably at the tower side, I would imagine, knowing him. He's just that kind of a geek. And then David, he was somewhere else. I mean, we were all over the place checking to see, if the signal was a lot brighter and stronger. And sure enough, it was. So we really appreciate the team effort. And this is our first local show with the increase in power. So hopefully we're filling in a lot of gaps that we weren't able to hit before. So team effort, and it all paid off as well. Don't forget, we're on NoogaRadio.com. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube. And, of course, right here on your radio dial at 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM HD4. And it's Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. Once again, we want to tell you, if you'd like to call in with your comments or with questions, you can do so at 423-800-8949. 423-800-8949 is the phone number to call, and operators are standing by, namely me. All right. Hey, we got to make it light here. Have a little fun with this. A lot of sports news to talk about, a lot of high school basketball that went on last night. We're going to be talking about that throughout the show. Also, the All-State Sugar Bowl Hall of Fame inductees, the inaugural class was announced this week. We're going to be talking about that. But one thing that we want to remind you about, Tennessee Chattanooga Mocs going to be taking on number 2 Ohio State in Alpharetta, Georgia on Sunday. That's the wrestling team. They'll be returning to the mat this weekend. Mocs are going to be traveling to Alpharetta to take on the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. And then they'll be back home on Monday hosting Ohio in McClellan Gym. And the Bobcats of Ohio, not an easy team to take on. Ohio Bobcats are pretty decent. But, Ohio State, I mean, that's going to give you a good, true test of how good your team is. And it's not about the wins and the losses. It's trying to further develop those student athletes to become better student athletes. And sometimes you've got to face the buzzsaw that's in front of you. And, living up in the Northeast and seeing a lot of Big Ten wrestling action, Penn State's the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State is there in the number 2 slot. And let's see here. No, I don't have that latest poll, but we've got coming up here in Chattanooga, there at McKenzie Arena, the Southern Scuffle. Southern Scuffle is one of the premier wrestling tournaments for college wrestling in all the United States. It truly is. It is a revered tournament, and 2 days just doesn't seem like it would be enough wrestling action. But you've got 10 of last season's final top 25 college teams that are going to be participating in this year's event, January 1st and 2nd there at McKenzie Arena. I'm telling you, if you're into wrestling, this is the place you need to be at, folks. I am telling you, hands down, that is the place to go. One of the schools that I used to cover, other than Penn State, is typically there, Edinboro University. They're in Edinboro, Pennsylvania, just south of Erie. And I tell you what, Edinboro and Penn State, they take their wrestling very seriously. Yeah, football program and basketball programs usually get top billing. But when it comes to wrestling, whole different animal altogether. So, this tournament even I've known about the Southern Scuffle for many years. I used to be a high school wrestling coach for a school in Central PA. And, we always, tried to advance our student athletes, to find good colleges, if they got the grades, they got the talent to support their scholarship right and everything. Hey, we're pushing them as much as we can to do better. One of the things that I always told my wrestlers is, hopefully you can go to a school that goes and participates at the Southern Scuffle. It is one of the best wrestling tournaments in the country, hands down. So, if you like wrestling, good Greco-Roman style wrestling, you can find it at the Southern Scuffle coming up. But as we said, they've got a test coming up with Ohio State at the Cooler in Alpharetta, Georgia. Match time set for 2 o'clock. Home match on Monday against the Bobcats is at 7 o'clock. Chattanooga's 2-2 in dual action, including a 2-0 mark in Southern Conference bouts. UTC's wins are against VMI and Davidson. That was very early on in the season, while their 2 losses have been back-to-back to number 8 Virginia Tech and number 6 NC State. So it's not going to get much better than that. Let's see here. You can also go to the wrestling schedule page on gomox.com for tickets for the home match with Ohio. UTC is coming off a 7-9 record last season. They returned 5 starters to a team that finished 5-2 in the SoCon regular season duels and 4th in the league tournament. Senior Scotty Boykin is back in the lineup at 197. He's number 15 in the country. After redshirting last season, he won the league as a junior in 2016 when he was ranked as high as number 9 in the country. And he's already off to a 9-2 start after winning the Hokie Open and Black Knight Invite. Also coming off a redshirt year, senior Michael Pongrace, the 2-time NCAA qualifier, who was 22-6 at 141 in 2015-16 season. 7-5 overall, finished 3rd at the Hokie Open. And Pongrace is still at 141. He's 7-5 coming into this matchup here against Ohio State. Senior Bryce Carr and Scotty Boykin are both ranked at number 15 at 184 and 197, respectively, in this week's Intermat Top 20, both with 92 overall records. So a lot of wrestlers for Ohio State, especially once you get it to the 174 bracket. Number 3 in the country is Bo Jordan. He's a senior, 12-2. 184 have number 2 Miles Martin. He's a junior. He's undefeated, 14-0. 197, number 1 in the country, it's Colin Moore, who's 10-0, and he's only a sophomore. So Boykin and Moore will be a highlight of the evening. And then at heavyweight, Kyle Snyder, a senior, he's 2-0 on the season. So they've got some other fairly decent wrestlers as well. Pongrace will probably take on number 6 Joey McKenna, who's a junior, 2-0 on the season. So that could be another interesting fight. It might be a fight, but it's definitely a matchup. And then with, let's see here, Bryce Carr, he'll be at 184 taking on number 2 Miles Martin, Jr. It's 14-0. And Carr, as they said, is number 15 in the country. Ohio State's 4-0 overall with a match at Princeton on Friday. And they are number 2 in the latest USA Today National Wrestling Coaches Association Division I coaches poll and the Intermat dual meet rankings. They grabbed 3 first-place votes in the coaches poll and trailed number 1 Penn State by just 10 points. So against Ohio State, they are UTC Chattanooga is 2-1 at home at McKenzie Arena On the road, they're 1-2-1, and when they play at wrestle at a neutral site, they're 0-1. So, with that being said, with this being in Alpharetta, Georgia, they've got a chance to even up their record. So, they last played at a neutral site against Ohio State in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, back in 1997. So, it will be interesting to see how things will shape up there. Ohio Bobcats are 0-3, including an 18-14 loss to Appalachian State on December 2nd. Their other matches were against Buffalo on November 25th and Missouri on December 10th. The Mocs are 6-8 all-time against the Bobcats, including 3-2 under head coach Heath Esslinger. These two teams have met each of the last two seasons, with the Bobcats taking both bouts. They scored an 18-14 win in their last trip to Chattanooga on December 18, 2015, and a 26-12 victory in Athens on December 16th, 2016. That's Athens, Ohio, which is where Ohio University is located at. So, Bryce Carr, Sr., was SoCon Wrestler of the Month for November 2017, earning the honor after going 8-1, winning both the Hokie Open and the Black Knight Invite at 184. It's a second career monthly award from the Southern Conference after winning the award in January of last season. This Dublin, Georgia senior native has 3 major decisions, 1 tech fall and 1 pen on the season, with his only loss in the opening month to number 7 Zach Savatsky of Virginia Tech in sudden victory. So best of luck to the UTC Mocs wrestling team as they are preparing for 2 interesting matches coming up. Sunday with Ohio State down in Alpharetta, and then on Monday with the Ohio Bobcats at McKenzie Arena. Once again, you can call us up, 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949, and we hope that you call in, participate in with the show, and of course, we'll talk sports in any way, shape, or form. Let's move on here with, if you've listened to the sports updates that we have throughout the day, legendary former Tennessee football player and head coach Johnny Majors has been named to the inaugural class of the Sugar Bowl Hall of Fame. That was announced earlier this week by the All-State Sugar Bowl Committee. Majors is one of 16 legends who starred in the annual New Orleans Football Classic, the first class of Hall of Famers that spanned 7 decades of Sugar Bowl action, including 12 All-Star players, 2 national championship coaches, and 2 individuals who had the rare distinction of both playing and coaching in the Sugar Bowl. Majors played in the 1957 Sugar Bowl and coached Tennessee to a 35-7 win over the Miami Hurricanes, and the 86 Sugar Bowl, and a 23-22 win over Virginia in the 91 Sugar Bowl. He also coached Pittsburgh to a 27-3 win over Georgia in the 77 Sugar Bowl. The Panthers were named national champions that year. So, congrats to Coach Majors. Also to note, back in 1957, Coach Majors was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. And he led Tennessee against Baylor. Majors was bottled up by a tenacious Bears defense, but still managed 51 rushing yards and a key touchdown in that 13-7 loss. Later returned to the bowl decades later to find success as a coach, and a wonderful individual. UT's 1986 Sugar Bowl victory over the Hurricanes was where the Vols seized control of the game in the second quarter and never looked back. After trailing 7-0 in the first quarter, UT tied the game. Darrell Dickey had Jeff Smith for a 6-yard touchdown pass that sparked a run of 35 unanswered points. As he enjoyed a thrilling fourth quarter comeback in the 91 Sugar Bowl to defeat Virginia, the Vols scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. Tony Thompson, named from the past, rushed for 151 yards and scored a pair of touchdowns in the fourth, including a game-winning 1-yard TD hurdle over the line with 31 seconds remaining. Now, Coach Majors is not the only one that's going into this Hall of Fame induction or inaugural class. TCU's Sammy Ball was known affectionately as Slingin' Sammy due to his prowess as a quarterback. But, basically, 1936 Sugar Bowl was where he really made his mark. And the New Year's Day game, showdown between the TCU Horned Frogs and LSU, became basically, instead of the Sugar Bowl, it became Mud Bowl. Teams combined to complete just 4 passes. The ball averaged 47 yards on 14 points, made a pair of touchdown saving tackles as a defensive back to cement the status. One of the greats of college football. And I'm telling you, if you Google Sammy Ball, you will be amazed at what this man did in college football. I mean, he has been very synonymous, playing both sides of the ball, and was really good at both sides of the ball, to say the least. Also going in to the inaugural class, Frank Broyles, a young 3-sport standout, made his Sugar Bowl debut in 1944, helping Georgia Tech to victory. But Broyles' impact on the Sugar Bowl would go well beyond that, as he's recognized as the man who had the most roles with the Sugar Bowl. As a player, an assistant coach, a head coach, an athletic director, broadcaster, and fan. Coached Arkansas to 4 different Sugar Bowls, and when adding in his experience as athletic director, which he took over back in the mid-'70s, and then later on after, even while being an AD there in Fayetteville, he also did games with ABC. And, of course, ABC and CBS pretty much back in the 70s and 80s were the networks that you watched college football on. And NBC didn't really get into it until mid to late 90s. But CBS and ABC, were the 2 networks, because that was before cable became what it is. And Coach Broyles was on ABC's broadcast with Keith Jackson, and they've had a slew of teams that have been with Coach Broyles, but Keith Jackson and Coach Broyles was pretty much the number 1 team, and that was out there. Coach Broyles was a part of 18 Sugar Bowls. That's pretty amazing. 18 Sugar Bowls out of 70-plus years of the Sugar Bowl. Also getting in, Coach Paul Bear Bryant. He directed 9 different teams to the Sugar Bowl. His first appearance was in the 51 game, when his heavy underdog Kentucky Wildcats shocked top-ranked Oklahoma. And then after he took over in Alabama, he led the Crimson Tide to 8 Sugar Bowl appearances. The 62 team capped a national championship season. And the Sugar Bowl and his string of Sugar Bowl games ended with 3 straight appearances in 78, 79, and 1980. All 3 of those games resulted in wins over fellow College Football Hall of Fame coaches Woody Hayes at Ohio State in 78, Joe Paterno at Penn State in 79, and Lou Holtz, who was the head coach at Notre Dame in 1980. And then this was, I guess, when Holtz had already left Notre Dame and went to Arkansas shortly thereafter. But Holtz had coached it at Fayetteville and also at South Bend. But the last 2 appearances in 79 and 80 were both national championships for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, whether or not they can do that here this year remains to be seen, but they've got an opportunity. Arkansas receiver Chuck Dykes posted arguably the best back-to-back Sugar Bowl performances in history. In the 1969 game, he had one of the greatest receiving days in Sugar Bowl history when he caught 12 passes for 169 yards and a touchdown in a 16-2 win over the Bulldogs of Georgia. All right. Beating the Bulldogs, that's got to be great. I'm picking on Keon out there because I know he loves those Bulldogs. 1 year later, on January 1st, 1970, Dykes proved 1969 was no fluke as he caught 6 passes for 171 yards, including a 47-yard touchdown, while the Razorbacks lost that day to Ole Miss, which that doesn't happen too often. His two-game totals of 19 receptions and 340 receiving yards are both tops among individuals in Sugar Bowl history. So, following that 76 season, the Sugar Bowl had the opportunity to host one of the 17 Heisman Trophy winners. Playing the game as Tony Dorsett led the Pitt Panthers into the Sugar Bowl. That was a great game. I remember watching that as a kid. Dorsett was solid in the first half, scoring his lone touchdown of the game on an 11-yard dash. His mark is he carried the ball 15 times for 130 yards and finished with a Sugar Bowl record 202 rushing yards and a 27-3 win over the Bulldogs. How about that? It was before you were born. I understand, Keon. You probably didn't like to go back that far in history. But anyway. All right, the 70s kicked off with a memorable performance by Ole Miss and a swashbuckling quarterback named Archie Manning, who passed for 273 yards and a touchdown while also running for another score in a 27-22 victory over the Razorbacks. Manning would return to the Crescent City in 71 after being drafted by the New Orleans Saints and would become one of the most beloved athletes in the city's history. He was elected to the Sugar Bowl Committee in 86 and remains a vital part of the organization today. Pitt quarterback Dan Marino is also getting into this inaugural class. Also, TCU passing legend and Heisman Trophy winner Davey O'Brien from the late 30s, early 40s, going into the class. Ironically, Alabama is the team with the most Sugar Bowl appearances and has had many stars in the Sugar Bowl, but only one has the distinction of scoring touchdowns in 3 different Sugar Bowls. Major Ogilvie played 3 straight wins for the Crimson Tide in 78, 79, and 80. And in all 3, he was named the most outstanding player of the 1980 game when Bama wrapped up another national championship. Franklin Pepper Rogers, more people know him as Pepper Rogers, debuted in the Sugar Bowl in 53. And helping Georgia Tech to a 24-7 victory over Ole Miss, is also being a part of this inaugural class. Claude Little Monk Simons was the star of the inaugural Sugar Bowl Classic in 1935. And let's see here. The most recent alum of the game scheduled for induction is Gene Stallings. He directed Alabama to a perfect 11-0 regular season record in 1992. As the Crimson Tide entered the 93 Sugar Bowl, few gave it much of a chance against the powerful, top-ranked Miami Hurricanes squad. However, Stallings and his staff installed a perfect defensive scheme, shut down the Hurricanes for a 34-13 blowout victory to capture Bama's first national championship since the Bear Bryant era. A lot of great things there. We've got more Sports Talk with Sam Jordan coming up here in just a little bit on Nooga Radio 92.7 and 95.3 FM HD4.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Rush hour traffic was slowed to a crawl when a truck crashed into the back of a school bus, crumpling the cab of the truck and delaying traffic for over 20 minutes at East Brainerd Road at Mackey Branch. No children were injured, but there were reports of an injury in the truck. EMS rushing the victim away. At the Tuesday City Council meeting, they voted unanimously to stick with Blue Cross Blue Shield after concerns were raised about United Healthcare, the company that the city was going to switch to for coverage, discovering that it would not cover CHI Memorial for retirees. Councilman Ken Smith saying that in the future, retirees need to have a say when they pick an insurer. A woman called police saying that a man tried to rape her at the Martin Luther King neighborhood Tuesday night at about 7 p.m. Police say the male attacker escaped on foot, but his face caught on surveillance camera video. We've got it on our Facebook page. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 now.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows 30 to 33. Now for you through Thursday. Mostly sunny, high temperatures, upper 40s to near 50. Tomorrow night, a little colder, lows back into the upper 20s. Dry and chilly Friday, high staying into the 40s. Experience the magic of the holidays with Rock City's Enchanted Garden of Lights. Create your one-of-a-kind adventure with dazzling views and almost a million colorful lights. Visit CRockCity.com for all of the magical details. And I'm Sword Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Sonia with the Mountain Oaks Weddings, Events, and Team Room in Ottawa, located in the former James County Courthouse. Go back in style when you're planning your next event. Mountain Oaks is a full-service wedding venue and catering facility. No fuss, no mess, no cleanup when you schedule your next special event with Mountain Oaks. Leave the planning and the work to the experts, but take all the credit for your wonderful event. Call me, Sonia, at Mountain Oaks today at 423-238-9333 and leave the word to us.
423-238-9333 or stop by our location on Church Street in Ottawa.
Health Centers of Chattanooga offers non-medical solutions to your body's problems using a state-of-the-art technology called pulse electromagnetic fields, PEMF for short. We help fuel the body's natural healing response. If you're tired of taking harmful, addictive drugs that only dull your pain and cause awful side effects, the knowledgeable, friendly staff at Health Centers can help you in that cycle.
Call to schedule a free whole body assessment at 423-771-7755. That's 423-771-7755. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with the deadly virus. Your only hope there in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM HD4. Sports Talk with Sam Jordan on the air with you tonight. Don't forget the clutch with Keon Rose coming up at 7 o'clock right after CBS World and National News with the World News Roundup. But we're glad to have you along wherever you may be. We'd like to hear from you at 423-800-8949. 423-800-8949. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube. We're on NoogaRadio.com. And, of course, on our 2 terrestrial stations, and we're glad to have you wherever you may be here in the Tennessee Valley or around the world. You can always count on Nooga Radio with all the latest news, sports, and weather here for you. Cleveland Blue Raider wrestling team is still #1 in the latest state coaches poll that was released. Cleveland won their own dual tournament over the weekend. McCauley's 2nd, Baylor's 5th, followed by Bradley in 6th. The poll is primarily a measure of dual meet strength with some consideration to individual tournament strength, and votes are cast by a statewide panel of high school wrestling coaches and based on a maximum power ranking of 100%. And Cleveland, McCauley maintaining the #1 and 2 slots again. Christian Brothers is 3rd, Science Hill 4th, Baylor 5th, as we said, Bradley Central 6th, Wilson Central is 7th, Arlington 8th, Halls is 9th, Soddy Daisy is 10th, Father Ryan 11th, and Beach is 12th. Also receiving votes were Blackman, Brentwood, Heritage, and Independence. A little bit of a shakeup as Wilson Central encountered a loss. Thank you, sir. And dropped a slot from 6th to 7th, and Bradley Central moved up from 7th to 6th. Also, Father Ryan dropped several slots. They were 8th last week, and they're now 11th this week. Soddy Daisy dropped a notch as well, as they were 9th, and this week they're 10th. Making a big jump, 3 slots was Halls, who's number 9 this week. Last week they were 12th. And Beach dropped a notch. They were 11th last week, and they're 12th this week. So, wrestling is huge in this area, believe it or not, and that's a good thing. I really enjoy wrestling, and calling it and coaching it, though, I will tell you, is 2 different animals altogether. But, if you know the terms and everything, you can get through it. So we're hoping that one of these days we'll have a little bit more sports coverage for you here on Nooga Radio with high school sports. And that is in the plans. So don't fret. We will have that someday for you. And we're going to try to incorporate my good buddy there, Keon Rose, in trying to get him into the midst of the action as well. Trying to mentor that young man. And I tell you what, he's got a great show coming up for you here at 7 o'clock. So make sure you tune in for the clutch. McMinn County slapping Sunny Days with 2 5-3A losses. Sunny Daisy's Josh Perez having a good game in that, even though they lost. The Cherokees are now 3-5, 3-0 in the division. They blitzed the Trojans, who are also 3-5, but they're 1-2 early to build a 26-14 halftime lead, build a 20-point lead, and cruise to an impressive 58-30 victory. And the earlier game, the Lady Cherokees made 6 3-pointers in their first 7 shots. That is huge. Routing the Lady Trojans 56-19. And McMinn County goes to 5-1 overall and 2-1 in district play. And let's see here. Cleveland has 2 league wins. 66-42 blowout of East Hamilton, the state tournament team in 2017, a preseason pick to win the district this season. Blue Raiders' other district win was a 79-33 rout of county rival Walker Valley. So, and that's in reference with Saudi Daisy. Girls opener, Lady Cherokees, according to reports, snapped the suspense out of the game within the first 6+ minutes. Most of the damage came from long-distance shooting. And it was Lady Cherokees leading 32-7 at halftime. So sometimes you have those kind of games. Sometimes. Boys game, McMinn County over Saudi Daisy 58-30. The girls game, McMinn County 56-19. Bradley Central walloped Ottawa 89-22 in District 5 AAA action. 89-22. So Bradley, according to reports, shot 52.7% from the floor, or 29 of 55. 12 of 24 behind the arc, 19 of 24 to charity stripe. And the Bearettes out-rebounded the Lady Owls 26-20, forced a stunning 37 turnovers, 9 each by Mekia Poland and Madeline Mills. Bradley outscored Ottawa 63-2 off of turnovers, 18-0 on fast breaks, and 42-2 off the bench. Mills led Ottawa with 8 points. Sydney Turman had 6 points and 7 rebounds in that contest. The Bearettes are 9-0 overall, 2-0 in District 5 AAA. So, congratulations to Bradley Central in that contest. A lot of high school basketball action going on throughout the area yesterday. 6 of 12 Hamilton Heights players scored in double figures Tuesday night. The Hawks defeated Covenant Christian 92-70. The Hawks are now 8-2 on the season. Trey Edwards scored 16 points to lead the Hawks, and who enjoyed a 42-29 halftime advantage. Kayvon Ellis and Weza Panzo each had 15 points. Jordan Rawls added 13. Samson Rosentsev 11. Yoris Plavsik 10. Evans made 3 of the Hawks' 8 3-pointers in that contest. Covenant finished with a game-high 24 points. So 92-70 was that box score final in action last night. Also, let's see, the league men and women won yesterday as well. Men's basketball team led from start to finish Tuesday night, the dominating 71-46 victory over Cumberland University from Walker Arena. Sophomore Ryan Montgomery led the way with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Chattanooga Central Project electrified the home crowd with a powerful breakaway 2-handed slam late in the first half. And sophomore floor leader Parker Sudacam added 12 points as a sharp shooting guard, connected on 4 of 5 3-point attempts. So that's an awesome way to go. Flames showcased why they are the top-ranked defensive team in the GSC, or the Gulf South Conference, giving up just 63 points per game through the first 9 contests. Lee allowed the Phoenix to shoot just 29.6% from the field and 23.1% from the three-point line. Lee forced 16 turnovers, blocked 9 shots, and held a 34-28 advantage on the glass. And then the Flames shared the basketball on the offensive end, compiling 20 assists to just 14 turnovers. Montgomery delivered a game-high 5 assists, and Leander Ridgway Jr. set up scores on 4 occasions. Flames improved to 7-2 overall and will travel on the road for the first time in league play as they visit Alabama Huntsville, who's 6-3 overall and 0-2 in the division on Saturday. And then they'll face North Alabama, who's 6-3 and 1-1 on Monday. Leads off to a 2-0 start in GSC play. Victories earlier in the season over Auburn, Montgomery, and West Georgia. All right. The Lady Flames. Let me scroll down here just a little bit. And they jumped out to a 22-13 lead after the opening period and held a 36-27 advantage at the halftime break. Continue to build on that lead with a +7 margin in the third period and outscored Lane by 6 in the final 10 minutes to post a 22-point win over their opponents. And with that, the Lady Dragons, 1-9, were led by Antrese McCoy's 27 points. McCoy was 9 of 15 from the field. But the Lady Flames forced 18 turnovers. And I take that back. The Lady Dragons turned 18 lead turnovers into 14 points, while the Lady Flames made the most of 9 lane floor mistakes with 11 second chance points. Lady Flames will be back in action on Saturday with a trip also to Alabama Huntsville. Tip-off scheduled for 3 p.m. for that contest. So congratulations to Lee's men and women program as they are off to a victory here last night. 423-800-8949 is the phone number to call with your questions or comments here on Sports Talk with Sam Jordan on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM HD4. You know, I'm still gloating a little bit with New England. I mean, they tried coming back there in the fourth quarter. They scored 10 points to make it to 27-20, but Miami was able to hold them off from tying it up and going into overtime. And the Patriots are 10-3 now, firmly in that second slot to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jacksonville is in that third slot. Kansas City is in that fourth slot. However, Tennessee is right on the cusp, looking in from the outside for one of those divisional playoff scenarios. Tennessee's a wild card team. They're the top wild card team, even though they got an 8-5 record. Buffalo is in that sixth slot, so they're guaranteed a playoff wild card game if everything stays the same for the rest of the season. But then again, you've got Baltimore, the Chargers, you got the Raiders, you got the Dolphins that have still got an opportunity to make some waves and to disrupt things possibly in the AFC. So, you know, Miami really did themselves a favor. You know, they're tied right now with Oakland for that nice slot in the standings for the playoffs. You know, the Chargers and the Ravens and the Bills all with 7-6 records, but Tennessee's got just slightly better percentage record, but you know, they're still pegged in that number 5 slot. I think the Titans ought to be in that 4th slot, but you know, it's just it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season finishes out. And I'm sure Keon will be talking about the playoffs a little bit, just to kind of give you a little precursor, because he loves talking football. NFC, Eagles, even though I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, you hate to see players get injured. And Carson Wentz from the Eagles, got hurt. He's probably going to be done for the season. I haven't heard confirmation. I heard possibly he was done for the year. But it's going to give Nick Foles an opportunity. And I know Keon touched on this last night on his show. Where's Foles coming from? It's almost like he didn't miss the beat from the last time he was there in Philadelphia. He got dropped, I believe it was last year, and he ended up latching on with I forget offhand what team it was that he went to, and he ended up primarily being a backup. And that's what he is, or was, I should say, in Philadelphia when he just recently signed with them. Foles is not a bad quarterback, I don't think, but he's not that high profile that the Eagles organization can count on for a long time. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, he had 2, maybe 3 seasons where he was the quarterback for the Eagles, toward the end of Andy Reid's tenure there in Philadelphia, and maybe a little bit even in that disastrous coach that they had there for a season, who is back into college coaching again. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't think he's that great or good. He's just that bad. Anyway, but I think Foles will give them just enough because the Eagles have upgraded their receiving corps quite a bit with Alshon Jeffrey. They got Ertz, who I guess he got hurt here recently, but they've been filling in with some decent holes in their receiving corps, and their running game is not that bad. Yeah, they've had some players that have came and went that they've been trying that were on other teams, and they ended up, getting rid of some of those players. But, Eagles, they've mashed a bunch of different components together, and they've been able to pull off an 11-2 record. And they are locked in for the playoffs. Minnesota is a surprise team. 10-3 on the year. And that's without the leadership of Teddy Bridgewater. Go figure. I don't think Bridgewater's washed up. Just, I don't think he's going to get that opportunity of being starter all the time, like some of his colleagues in the NFL. The Rams, it's like, where did the Rams come from? Other than St. Louis to L.A. And it's like all of a sudden now the Rams are the big ticket item, even over the Lakers. So Chargers aren't doing that bad either for being in L.A. after leaving San Diego. I'm still scratching my head on that one. Just because you couldn't get your way and get the voters of San Diego to give you another stadium, I just don't think that ought to be a sole reason for moving your team. I know it's not my dollars that are in the game on that, but, you work with what you got. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard this with Keon, they're actually talking about could be potentially elsewhere. And let's check in. Good evening. You're on Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. Hello. Hey, how are you, Sam?
Oh, not bad.
So what's up?
I think on the Vancouver Canucks tonight in Vancouver. The beginning of a 3-game road trip. Good news for the Predators. They're now back to almost even strength where they will get Scott Hartnell, the veteran, back in Ryan Johansson. They're number one center. So tonight should be a pretty decent game with having full strength with everybody except Brian Ellis is still out, and they just recently signed Freddie Joe to Milwaukee. Just opening up a roster spot. So tonight's game should be a fun, competitive game and a high speed. So we'll see what happens.
So I'm assuming that there is a lot of tickets available for the game, which should be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's up at Rogers Place
in Canada.
Vancouver. Yeah, there's a lot of tickets if you want to make that drive and have a jet.
All right, so you can just jump into one of your U.S. or American Airways planes and head up there real quick, right?
Yeah, right now I'm a little under the weather, so my travels are off for a little bit.
All right, well, we hope you get better. But it should be an interesting contest. When does the Preds get back into Nashville, for their next home game?
I do believe they're back home next Tuesday. And I believe that game will be at 7 o'clock puck drop.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Sam, and we'll talk to you again next time, all right?
Thank you.
All right. That's Sam Jordan III, who does Preds Pulse for us here on the show. So it was good to check in with him there momentarily. Don't forget, coming up here after CBS World and National News with the World News Roundup, Keon Rose with the clutch. I'm sure he's going to be lively tonight. He looks like he is fired up, ready to go. He always is. Sometimes I think he preaches. Because when he gets going on a subject, I just stand back. And I can say that because I've been an ordained minister since 1985. Sometimes you see him getting ready to kick it into overdrive, and sometimes Keon does that. And preaching to the masses out there. But I'm sure that he will make it informative, educational maybe, and lively, to say the least. So make sure you tune in to Keon Rose with the clutch coming up here after the top of the hour. Madison Hayes surpasses 1,000 points as the Lady Canes from East Hamilton beat Walker Valley 54-43. And she's only a sophomore, folks. That's amazing in itself. East Hamilton staying unbeaten at 13-0 on the season. So 54-43 was that final. Hayes hit for 17 points in the win, and she now has 1,013 points. And she's only a sophomore. That is amazing. So a lot of great athletes here in our area, whether it's high school or college. Don't forget, coming up December 27th and 28th, PBI baseball camp going on over at Baylor School. And you can go to pbicamps.com to sign up. Limited number of slots are available in that camp. They'll have it broken down for pitchers and the fielders and stuff. And they've got some Major League Baseball talent that will be there, along with some local area coaches helping out in that camp. So if you get an opportunity, go to their website, get signed up. You can choose either the 27th or 28th, whichever day you'd like, or if you like to do both days, that's fine too. They have all the information on there for you to participate in. So more high school basketball action will be coming up here over the next couple of nights, and we'll be talking about that as we get a little closer. Don't forget the Mox wrestling team going to be on the road down in Alpharetta for their big matchup against number 2 Ohio State on Sunday. And then they'll be back at home on Monday night to host the Ohio Bobcats. That's Ohio University Bobcats. So it will be an interesting weekend for the Mox wrestling program. The Mox basketball team, I believe they're back in action as well over the weekend, and we'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer to the weekend. But as I said, coming up here after the news, the clutch with Keon Rose, and I'm sure that it will be an enjoyable time for all, even for himself, to say the least. Until tomorrow morning, when we come back with you with sports updates, we hope that you have a great evening. And call in to Keon Show at 423-800-8949. He'll be more than glad to talk with you on sports as well. And whether it's the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and whatever, Keon's your guy to talk to. All right? Until next time, thanks for listening, and talk to you on the flip side tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, with Sports Talk with Sam Jordan on Nooga Radio. So long.